Well, hello everyone. Yes, as you guess, I've been finally able to make this video after waiting for the 1.1 patch. And now it's here. Let's talk about what I worked on this.
Rise and shine, Mr. Freeman. Rise and shine.
Of course, one of the first things that you'll see that I worked on is a new test chamber design I made. This was done due to the prop in the middle not actually fitting in with the Half-Life 1 texture, so went ahead and took some inspiration from the Brutalist Episode 2 Sector C lobby, along with Hazard 01, and of course the prop itself. As well, I took the liberty of adding a few features that I decided to do, such as this new upper area for that whole control panel, along with spotlights to give this entire test chamber a more cinematic look. As out here is a few key things for those people who keep an eye out for this sort of stuff. I have fixed the continuity errors between Train Station 01 and Train Station 06. You see, in the retail version of Train Station 01, the paths in Train Station 06 do not appear in Train Station 01. This is probably due to Valve working off an early iteration of this map, which it didn't have those access ways yet. As well, most of the buildings either A, are completely different, or B, have completely different textures on them or missing details from 06. So, went ahead and fixed that all up, including resizing the underneath the bridge so that way it doesn't hit the train when it moves across in the regular scripted sequence.
Welcome to City 17. You have chosen.
Since we're over here as well, I could talk about some texture work I did. Specifically, the gauntlets on this Vertigaunt worker. In the regular retail game, these were green, which looked a bit more like the original Half-Life 1 alien slave gauntlets. However, in an early iteration, they were meant to be a bit more unique. They originally had a black and silver-ish coloring. I don't know why Valve changed this in the end product to be a bit more green like the Half-Life 1 Vertigaunt slave model. So, I decided to make the gauntlets make a bit more sense Combine-wise. Took some inspiration of how the Combine was textured, along with looking at the older texture sheet as inspiration, and here are the gauntlets.
Free blow cover. Keep going till you're in the plaza. I'll meet up with you later.
Well, here's that new area that people are talking about. Well, I created it. This area went through a few revisions, but it was inspired by this area from Raising the Bar Redux, and this area from Day 1 Garage from the 2002 maps. Actually, funny enough, the original geometry from the Day 1 Garage was meant to be here, but due to it, how you should say, lacking in certain areas, I kept the entrance the same, but however, everything else has been completely changed to match better to the Raising the Bar Redux map a bit more. All in all, I think this is the proper way to go with this area instead of using that beta geometry. There were other things that were causing problems, but I won't delve into it. As well, how did I do it gameplay-wise? Well, the way how I introduced it is there's this new hole in the floor, the room's a bit more bigger, and there's these boxes on top of the grate, which signifies that, hey, maybe, something is important down here. The player looks down and sees there's, a puddle of water down there, and next to it is a wire leading up. And of course, with, the gamer's personal experience with this area already from the regular retail, they would go up. However, they find the windows boarded up, and as well, there's a console with a flashing button. Here, this would teach the player that you need to interact with this, and it opens the grate, along with dropping all the crates down, signifying the player needs to go down there. So in a way, this is sort of to teach the player that, like, there's going to be different paths throughout retail, and this is how I wanted to start with it. Like, when I initially designed this area, I wanted to, in a way, teach the player that not every route's going to be the same anymore. And of course, the best to do it at all is in the first map in the game. And in a way, I think it succeeded at that.
The right to make this kind of decision.
Alright, I'm going to go ahead and merge this along with the other section because they're pretty close to each other. This little shop was inspired by the E3 terminal shop that's right near the tunnel. I really liked how the E3 terminal looked, and I really wanted to bring some elements of it back into the regular retail map, such as the shop, and of course this little area, which was a reference to that skylift scene from the E3 map. The shotgun up here is an actual weapon you can pick up, and I was kind of laughing when I saw somebody manage to prop climb up here. Decided to make an actual weapon as a reference to the E3 map, which also had it as a real weapon you can pick up. Well, this is Kleiners Lab. I didn't do that much work yet. However, there's this little side area with some neat references to the 2002 version of Kleiners Lab. All the details and loot of what happened here are
for yourself to find out.
Anyways, let's talk about some of the sound work I did. Such as Kleiner's scanner now uses the Half-Life 1 sounds well. Half-Life 1-esque sounds.
That's everything we've worked for.
Don't worry, he's coming with me.
Access denied. Access granted.
How I got this effect was actually just taking the Half-Life 1 sounds and bit crushing them. I made the voice on it sound a bit higher quality, funny enough, as I used Microsoft Sam, mostly the mic voice type with a down pitch on it to make it sound a bit more higher quality, since it sounds a lot like the Black Mesa voice, so yeah, that's why it sounds a bit more high quality than usually it is.
Access granted. Access denied.
Access granted. Access denied.
Final sequence. No! What is it?
Freaking head up!
Come on, Eddie! No!
As you can see, I changed the teleportation locations, mostly the Wasteland and the Icky encounter. The reason why I made the Wasteland take place in Georgia, because I wanted to reference Half-Life Alyx with the globe, showing that the entire United States is completely uninhabitable, and of course, it went ahead and made it why it was inhabitable. For the Ichthyosaur encounter, I went ahead and changed it to the Arctic, as a way to mirror the RTBR's teleportation sequence. As well, I really wanted to make use of this prefab I made for this background map right here.
The Citadel's on full alert. I've never seen it lit up like that. Get out of City 17 as fast as you can, Gordon. Take the old canals, right? They'll get you to Eli's lab. It's a dangerous route, but there's a whole network of refugees, and they'll help you if they can. I'd come with you, but I gotta look after Dr. Kleiner. Oh, and before I forget, I think you dropped this back in Black Mesa.
Alright, back to sound design. Here, as you notice, the Citadel alarm is quite different. I went ahead and based this off of one of the Half-Life Alyx siren sounds, specifically this one. I really wanted to find a way to put the sound into retail, but I went ahead and decided to make one that's inspired by it a lot. As well, I wanted to make the Citadel siren sound fit a lot more with the Redux Citadel a lot more better. I wanted to make it sound aggressive, massive, like the siren itself is coming from deep inside the citadel, and it's only exiting out throughout the few holes that are on the side of the citadel.
Help me! Stop! We didn't do anything! We'll be looking for you.
Now that we actually got a hold of a few weapons, I can talk about some sound design with them as well. The pistol sounds a bit more like the Half-Life 2 retail. I actually went out of my way to find the sources for the original sounds they used, including some Half-Life 1 sounds for the missing stuff that I couldn't find that can match up with the original sources. Same with the stun stick with its higher quality sounds, along with the charge up being inspired by the Entropy Zero one, albeit a bit more unique compared to the other one. And funny enough, at one point I was using it as a placeholder, well, a modified one. Here it is. Since the revolver is on this map, the same techniques that were used for the pistol and stun stick were applied to the revolver. And no, I'm not going to show you where you can find it. You'll have to find it on your own when you play the mod. As I skimmed over this part at Kleiners Lab, but since they're both charges here, I went ahead and redid both of them to sound a bit more closer to their retail counterparts. Since the emplacement gun is on the next map, I also changed the sounds to sound a bit more like retail.
Alert. Activity in this community. Assemble
Finally, we're back to map edits, unless you count Train Station 06. I went ahead and redesigned the sewer, so mostly its textures to reflect that this sewer hasn't been well kept over time. I really liked how the old sewers looked back during the 2002 era. I wanted to replicate them. As well, I really wanted to bring a bit more structural detail for these areas. Now we're on to this map, which funny enough was the first map I ever worked on for Division 1, as at the time I only worked on Division 2 and Division 3 maps. This map started the whole weathered look of the sewers I wanted to go for, along with the more structural stuff. As well as some genuine quality of life improvements, such as like small things getting fixed, like this pipe over here. as well as re-adding some old geometry that could have stayed in if it wasn't being optimized for computers in 2004. One of these details I brought back was this old fence here. Since there's now an alternate route in this area that players usually didn't go a lot in regular retail, it shows to eagle-eyed players that there are alternate routes in this map. Of course, just like how the train station has a new route to it, this also teaches the player that there are alternate routes in the maps now that you can take. And since we have the SMG now in this area, the methods for this was the same as the pistol and stun stick. One little thing, I added the measure cup that throws a grenade in this barrel room. The reason why is to mess with the player's expectation of how this area will go, as it'd be a nice little scare as well. Finally, we're at the last map. And as before with the other canal maps I touched upon, structural detail was added along with a complete retexture. Let's touch upon the new route that was added in this map. I went ahead and touched up the texture style so that way it matches with the previous maps as well. Got an opportunity to finally use the 2002 buildings. Like, one of the major goals, especially in Div 2, is to bring back all these old prefabs that was made for 2002 because I really love the buildings that they made back then. And of course, this is the area where you get the AK. Here's how it sounds, along with the grenade sounds, which I took some Half-Life Alyx sounds from, as I really love the ping and the beeping sound effect from Half-Life Alyx a lot. After almost falling into toxic waste, we have now reached the outskirts of the city. One of the main things you'll notice is the amount of destroyed buildings that are out here. This is a reference to the 2001 canals of all its destroyed buildings out there. I wanted to make a reference to that entire old city concept, along with, you can see up here, is the wall from that map. Mostly the 2002 version of this wall, though. Which also includes the building that goes near it. I really wanted to make this map visually stunning as a way to set off Div 1, and I think it did it well. And with that, I think that's literally everything. And that's it. Thank you for watching, and sorry if this video is a bit, iffy in certain places. This is my first time doing these sort of videos. And there's definitely going to be another one of these when Div 2 releases, along with another Source Pain video. Because I love when Valve makes an asset that has to tie with something else instead of properly fixing it. But all in all, have a good one, and farewell.